Cold gets into you, not just your body, your soul. Makes everything brittle, makes everything hurt. And when you smell gunpowder mixing with that frozen air, breathing it in at 30 below zero, that smell lives in your lungs forever. Chosin Reservoir, November 1950. They call it the frozen Chosin now. Makes it sound almost poetic. It wasn't poetry. It was hell frozen over. And we were trapped in it. I'm Sergeant Thomas Patterson, 1st Marine Division, from Detroit. 23 years old when Korea started. Thought I knew what war was. I'd heard the stories from my old man. He fought in the Pacific, Iwo Jima. Came home with nightmares and a drinking problem. Used to wake up screaming. Used to hit my mother when he got into the bottle. I swore I'd never end up like him. Swore the war wouldn't break me the way it broke him. Turns out you don't get to choose that. War doesn't ask permission before it crawls inside you and makes a home. I joined the Marines in '48, peacetime. Figured it would be good discipline, good career. Maybe I'd make it 20 years. Retire with a pension, simple plan, safe plan. Then June 1950 happened. North Korea invaded the South. Nobody expected it. Nobody was ready. Suddenly we were mobilizing, shipping out, going to some place most Americans had never heard of to fight communists. They sold it as a police action, not even a real war, just helping out the South Koreans. Should be quick, they said. Be home by Christmas, they said. Standard military bullshit. We landed at Incheon in September, MacArthur's masterpiece. Amphibious assault behind enemy lines, cut the North Korean army in half. It worked beautifully. We pushed north, fast, too fast, all the way to the Yalu River, all the way to the Chinese border. That's when everything went wrong. The Chinese came across, not hundreds, not thousands, hundreds of thousands. A human wave that had been hiding in the mountains waiting for us to overextend. And we were overextended, way overextended, spread thin, undersupplied. And winter was coming. They sent us north to the Chosin Reservoir, mountain region, strategic position. We were supposed to hold it, support the advance, simple mission. But November in North Korea isn't like November in Detroit. It's not cold. It's beyond cold. It's the kind of cold that makes your eyelashes freeze together, makes your rifle jam, makes your morphine freeze solid so you can't even help the wounded, the kind of cold that kills you just as surely as bullets. We set up positions around the reservoir, dug in as best we could. Ground was frozen solid, couldn't dig foxholes, had to pile rocks for cover. Everything was rock and ice and mountains, beautiful in a hostile way, like nature showing you how insignificant you are. November 27th, that's when they hit us. The Chinese, not a battalion, not a regiment, whole divisions, coming at us from every direction, surrounding us, cutting us off. And it was 30 below zero. The attack came after dark. That's how they did it. Waited until we couldn't see, until the cold had us sluggish and miserable. Then they came, bugles first. That's what I remember. Chinese bugles blowing in the frozen darkness. This eerie sound echoing off the mountains. Then whistles, then screaming. Thousands of voices screaming in the night. Then the shooting started. Muzzle flashes everywhere. Tracers cutting through the darkness. The Chinese came in waves, just kept coming. We shot them down and more came. Shot those down and more came, like they were infinite, like they'd never stop. The gunpowder smell mixed with the frozen air. You'd fire your rifle and the powder would burn and you'd breathe it in and the cold would make it sharp, acrid. It would coat your throat, get in your lungs. Every breath tasted like metal and smoke and death. My rifle jammed, the cold. The M1 couldn't handle it. Bolt froze. I was beating it against a rock trying to get it working while Chinese soldiers were 50 yards away, 20 yards, 10 yards. Private Davis next to me, kid from Alabama, 18 years old. His rifle jammed too. He pulled out his bayonet, fixed it anyway, even though the rifle wouldn't fire. Figured he'd need it. He was right. They got into our position, hand to hand, bayonets, E-tools, fists, fighting in the dark, in the cold. Couldn't tell who was who half the time. Just shapes moving, struggling, falling. I got my rifle working. Don't know how. Desperation, maybe. Started firing point blank. So close I could see their faces in the muzzle flash. Young faces, scared faces, just like ours. Davis went down. Chinese soldier bayoneted him right in the chest. Davis made this sound, this awful wet sound. I shot the Chinese soldier. He fell on top of Davis, both of them dying together in the frozen mud. The attack lasted hours, felt like days. We held them off, barely. When dawn came, the ground around our position was covered with bodies. Chinese bodies, mostly, some of ours, all of them frozen. Frozen in whatever position they died in, arms reaching, mouths open, like statues of death. That was just the first night. We had 2 more weeks of that. During the day, we tried to survive the cold. At night, we tried to survive the Chinese. Both were killing us. The cold was worse than the enemy you could fight. The cold just took you. Guys would get frostbite, lose toes, lose fingers, lose whole feet. Had to amputate in the field. No anesthetic because the morphine was frozen. Just held them down and cut. Corporal Williams from Chicago. Big guy, tough. Started getting frostbite in his feet. Tried to tough it out, couldn't. Had to take his boots off. His feet were black, dead tissue, gangrene setting in. The corpsman cut off 3 toes with a knife. Williams passed out from the pain. Woke up later, kept fighting. What else could he do? We couldn't evacuate the wounded, couldn't get supplies in. The Chinese had us surrounded, cut off. The only way out was down the mountain, through miles of Chinese positions, through the frozen mountain passes, through hell. Food ran out. Ammunition ran low. We were eating frozen rations when we could find them, sharing ammo, using Chinese weapons when ours jammed, doing whatever it took to stay alive one more day. The nights were constant attacks. They'd come in waves, human waves, using tactics that didn't make military sense but worked anyway through sheer numbers. They'd sacrifice hundreds just to probe our defenses. Then thousands to try to break through. We killed so many, stacked bodies in front of our positions for extra cover, used frozen corpses as sandbags, stopped thinking of them as human, couldn't afford to. They were just targets, just shapes to shoot at in the darkness. But at night, in between attacks, you'd hear them. The wounded Chinese soldiers out there in no man's land, calling for help, crying, some of them singing, dying songs in a language I didn't understand, but could feel anyway. Same sounds wounded men make in any language. Sergeant Mitchell, he was from my platoon, good Marine, dependable. We were in a position together one night. Chinese attack had just ended, bodies everywhere, and we heard one of them, Chinese soldier, wounded. Couldn't have been more than 20 feet away, crying, calling out. Mitchell listened for a while. Then he said, "That's somebody's kid, somebody's son." "Yeah," I said. "We're all somebody's sons," he said. Then the next attack came, and we shot at more sons, and they shot at us, and nobody had time for philosophy anymore. December 1st. Command finally gave the order. We were breaking out, fighting our way down the mountain, 14 miles, through Chinese positions, through the frozen mountain passes, carrying our wounded, our dead, everything we could carry. They called it a breakout, wasn't a retreat. Marines don't retreat. We were just advancing in a different direction. That's what they told us. That's the line we all repeated, even though we knew it was bullshit. We were running for our lives, fighting our way out of a trap. The column started moving before dawn. Trucks, tanks, artillery, thousands of Marines, thousands of wounded, all funneling down this one mountain road. The Chinese on both sides, shooting down at us from the hills, setting up roadblocks, trying to stop us, trying to kill us all. The fighting was constant, every mile, every 100 yards sometimes. We'd hit a roadblock, have to dismount, clear it, get back on, move forward, hit another one, the whole way down the mountain, for days. The cold never stopped. Guys were dying from it even while we fought. Just stopping, sitting down, not getting back up, frozen to death while bullets flew around them. We tried to keep everyone moving, keep everyone warm. But you can't stop hypothermia with willpower. You can't fight off frostbite with determination. I saw a truck go off the side. Brakes failed, frozen, just slid off the icy road and tumbled down the mountain. 30 men in that truck, gone. We couldn't stop, couldn't recover them, just kept moving, left them behind. Williams, the guy who'd lost his toes, he made it 3 days into the breakout. Got hit. Chinese machine gun. Tore his leg apart. We got him on a truck, got him to the aid station. But between the frostbite and the wound and the blood loss and the cold, he didn't make it. Died on the truck, frozen and bleeding. We left his body with the others. Couldn't carry them all. Mitchell got hit too. Took a round in the shoulder, clean through, bleeding bad. I got him bandaged, got him on a truck. He was conscious, in pain, looking at me. "Don't let me freeze," he said. "If I'm gonna die, don't let me freeze." "You're not gonna die," I said. "Promise me," he said. "Don't let me freeze." I promised. But I was lying, because I knew. Knew he probably would freeze, because that's what happened in the Frozen Chosen. You bled and you froze and you died. And there wasn't a damn thing anyone could do about it. He made it, though. Survived the wound, survived the cold, survived the breakout, got evacuated eventually. Last I heard, he was back in the States, missing part of his shoulder, but alive. One of the lucky ones. We made it to Hagaruri, first safe position, relative safety anyway. Airstrip, supplies, evacuation for the worst wounded. We'd lost thousands getting there, thousands more wounded, thousands with frostbite. The 1st Marine Division had been destroyed and rebuilt in one brutal week, but we weren't out yet. Still had miles to go. Still had to fight our way to the coast, to Hungnam, to the ships, to safety. The breakout continued. More fighting, more cold, more death. But something had changed. We'd survived the worst. We'd held at Chosin. We'd fought our way out. We weren't beaten, weren't broken. Not completely. We reached Hungnam on December 11th, 2 weeks after the siege started. 2 weeks of constant combat and constant cold and constant death. The ships were waiting. We loaded up, wounded first, then equipment, then the rest of us. I stood on the deck watching North Korea disappear behind us, watching the mountains fade, watching the smoke from Hungnam Harbor, where we'd blown up all the supplies we couldn't evacuate. Scorched earth. Leave nothing for the Chinese. Davis was still up there. Williams. Hundreds of others from my unit. Thousands from the division. Frozen in the mountains. Left behind. We'd carried out what we could. Buried what we could. But most of them were still there. Still frozen. Still dead. Still 20 years old forever. The ship was warm, first warmth in weeks. It hurt, my hands and feet thawing. The pain was incredible, like being stabbed with thousands of needles. Frostbite damage. I'd lose 2 toes. Part of an ear. Small price. I was alive. We sailed to South Korea, regrouped, refitted, got replacements, and then went back into the fight. Because the war wasn't over. Wouldn't be over for 3 more years. 3 more years of Korea. 3 more years of cold and mountains and death. But nothing was ever as bad as Chosin. Nothing could be. Chosin was the bottom, the worst, the frozen hell that broke us all in different ways. It's 1974 now, 24 years since Chosen. I'm 47 years old, live in Detroit, work in a factory, got married, got kids, got a normal life, on paper. But I'm not normal, can't be normal, not after Chosen. Winter is hard, every winter. When the temperature drops below freezing, I'm back there, back in the mountains, back in the cold, back at 30 below zero with Chinese bugles blowing in the darkness. I can still smell it. The gunpowder in the frozen air, that sharp, acrid smell that coats your throat. That mix of cordite and cold that you can taste for days. I smell it in my sleep. Smell it sometimes when I'm awake. Smell it and I'm 23 again. And Davis is dying next to me and the Chinese keep coming and coming and the cold never stops. My hands shake when it gets cold, the frostbite damage. The nerves never healed right. When I try to hold something and my hands are cold, they just shake. Won't work properly, won't grip. My wife asks if I'm okay. I tell her it's just the cold. Don't tell her it's because my body remembers. Remembers freezing. Remembers thinking I'd never be warm again. Remembers what it feels like to lose parts of yourself to the cold. I don't talk about it much. What's there to say? Nobody who wasn't there can understand. Nobody who didn't smell that frozen gunpowder. Who didn't fight at 30 below, who didn't watch friends freeze to death while enemy soldiers tried to kill them, who didn't walk 14 miles through hell to escape a trap that should have killed everyone. My father understands, in his way. We don't talk about it, but we understand each other now. Two broken men, two veterans carrying wars that never ended. His from the Pacific, mine from Korea. Different wars, same damage. I drink sometimes. Not like he did. Not that bad. Just sometimes. When the winter gets hard. When the smell comes back. When I can't sleep because I'm back in that frozen foxhole listening to Chinese bugles. A few drinks helps, makes it fuzzy, makes it distant, makes it almost bearable. My kids ask about the war sometimes, about Korea, about what it was like. I tell them it was cold, that's all. Just that it was cold. They don't need to know the rest. Don't need to know about Davis or Williams or Mitchell. Don't need to know about frozen corpses used for cover. Don't need to know what it sounds like when someone dies from frostbite and gunshot wounds at the same time. The Marine Corps gave me medals. Bronze Star, Purple Heart, campaign medals for Chosen, for surviving, for fighting. I keep them in a box in the basement. Don't look at them. Don't display them. They're not pride. They're evidence. Evidence of what I survived. Evidence of what I lost. We have reunions sometimes. 1st Marine Division, the chosen few. That's what we call ourselves. The ones who made it out, the survivors. We get together and we drink and we remember and we don't talk about it. Not really, not the truth. We talk around it. About the cold, about the fighting, about the breakout, surface stuff, safe stuff. Nobody talks about the fear, the absolute terror of being surrounded and outnumbered and freezing to death. Nobody talks about the sounds the wounded made. Nobody talks about using frozen bodies for sandbags. Nobody talks about the Chinese soldier songs in the darkness. Nobody talks about the nightmares that never stopped. Because if we talked about that, we'd have to admit what Chosin did to us, what it took from us, what it left behind in those frozen mountains. People call it a victory, a fighting withdrawal. The Marines held and broke out and survived. MacArthur praised us. The Corps made it legend, the frozen Chosen, where the 1st Marine Division faced overwhelming odds and impossible conditions and made it out anyway. Heroic, epic, legendary, but it didn't feel like victory. Felt like survival. Barely. Felt like we got chewed up and spit out, and we're lucky the Chinese didn't finish us off. Felt like we left too many behind in the ice and the dark. Davis never came home. His family got a telegram. Body unrecoverable. Lost in North Korea. They held a memorial service, empty casket. I didn't go. Couldn't face his mother. Couldn't look her in the eye and tell her how her son died. Bayoneted, frozen, left behind. What comfort is there in that truth? William's family probably got the same telegram. Mitchell made it, but he's not the same. None of us are the same. We're all carrying Chosin, all living with it, all frozen in that moment when we thought we wouldn't make it out, when we thought the cold or the Chinese or both would kill us all. I wake up sometimes and I can't feel my hands, can't feel my feet. The phantom sensation of frostbite, of freezing. My wife says I was screaming in my sleep, says I was talking about the cold, about the bugles, about someone named Davis. I don't remember, don't want to remember. But I do remember, always remember, every winter, every time it snows, every time the temperature drops below freezing. I'm back there, back at Chosin, back in the frozen hell that I survived but never escaped. The war in Korea ended in 1953. Armistice, ceasefire, not a victory, not a defeat, just stopped. All that fighting, all that dying, all that freezing. And we ended up right back where we started, the 38th parallel. Same border, same division, same Korea split in two. So what did we die for? What did Davis die for? What did Williams die for? What did I freeze for? What did any of it mean? I don't have an answer. Don't know if there is one. All I know is that winter came to the Chosin Reservoir in November 1950, and it never left. Not really. It's still there, still 30 below, still frozen, still full of ghosts. And I'm one of them. Walking around, living a life, doing normal things. But part of me is still there, still in that foxhole, still smelling that gunpowder in the frozen air, still hearing those bugles, still watching Davis die, still freezing. They say time heals all wounds. They're wrong. Time just teaches you to live with them, to function around them, to pretend you're normal while the frozen part of you stays broken forever. I survived the frozen Chosin, got out, made it home, built a life, should be grateful, should be happy, should feel like one of the lucky ones. But I don't feel lucky. I feel cold, always cold, even in summer, even in the heat. There's a coldness inside me that never goes away, a frozen place in my soul that Chosin put there and left there and won't ever thaw. That's what war does. That's what Korea did. That's what Chosin took from me and never gave back. The ability to be warm, the ability to feel safe, the ability to forget. I'll carry that frozen gunpowder smell until I die. Carry those bugles. Carry Davis and Williams and all the others. Carry the cold. Carry the fear. Carry the knowledge that I survived something that should have killed me. And part of me wishes it had, because at least then I wouldn't have to spend the rest of my life remembering. The frozen Chosin. They made it sound like a badge of honor. Made it sound heroic. Made it sound like something to be proud of. But all I feel is cold, and all I smell is gunpowder in frozen air. And all I know is that I'm still there, still fighting, still freezing, still dying one winter at a time. Still, after 24 years, unable to get warm.